I'm not even gonna keep you. You guys have all read the title of this video, so you know what the topic of conversation today is going to be. Should book talk be political, or should it just be about books? This has stemmed from the recent American election results, which have resulted in book talk being divided. Now, before we get into this, I want to preface with a few important notes. First and foremost, I am not American. I do not live in America. I never have lived in America, and who knows if I ever will. So, no, I did not vote in your elections, and so, no, this conversation will not be touching on the elections at all. That had nothing to do with me, okay? So, don't even try it. 2. This channel is a channel which fosters conversation, okay? So, we are all free to have our opinions and share them in the comments, but these are the guidelines of the comments on my channel, okay? It's always been that way. You're going to be respectful and you're going to share your opinions without being disrespectful, okay? If you cannot abide by these guidelines, do not comment, because I am not afraid to do anything. You will be removed, you will be reported. End of discussion, okay? So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into it. Very, very plain and simple. Should book talk be political? Now, obviously, some readers are arguing that books are just a form of escape, a break from all the craziness in the world. Others are arguing that books are inherently political, meaning that any conversation about books is going to touch on politics in one way or another. If you've ever watched any video on my channel, you know that I like to take a balanced approach on things, which means I like to see things from both sides and then share where I land. Even if that means I land in the center, I want to look at both sides. Looking at points from both sides is the only way where we will understand where everyone is coming from, make an informed opinion regardless of which side we're going to stand on. So we're going to continue in that same light today. I'm going to present the arguments from both sides, look at it from both sides, because really there's a lot to consider, and I want us to actually consider this without just screaming and yelling from a place of emotion. Let's look at all the information that we can find or that we know so far, and then come to a conclusion from there. Let's start with the idea that book talk should be a politics-free zone. I mean, a lot of people run to book talk as a way of escape. I mean, reading is often our way to unplug from the stressors of the real world. And I mean, I get that. Reading literally transports us to different worlds. It lets us be different characters. It helps us unwind. So some people think that by adding politics into our discussions, we're just adding another layer of stress to something that should be purely for enjoyment. So for people on this side of the argument, they think of it like watching a movie and then having a bunch of news ads stopping your movie several times middle of. Think of it that way. But then there's the other side of this conversation, and it's not a small argument at all. It's quite big, actually. You see, literature in so many ways is a reflection of society. The themes, the characters, the conflicts. These are all things that authors use to mirror the world around them. And here's the thing. Almost every story contains elements of human rights, power struggles, culture clashes, and other social issues. So whether it's through allegory or overt storytelling, an author's perspective will often shine through. In other words, books aren't created in a vacuum, and neither are our conversations around them. Now that we've looked at both sides initially, I actually want us to take a look at another layer and actually consider it. What does it actually mean when we say something is political? See, a lot of people think political means voting in an election, but really politics goes way beyond that. Politics is about the system of beliefs, values, and structures that shape society as a whole. So, when we talk about a book that deals with race, gender, or even family roles, we're touching on part of a system, essentially a political one. And more than that, for a lot of people, saying book talk should be political kind of reflects your privilege because you might not see the issues represented in books as directly impacting your own lives, but you have the privilege to say that. Or honestly, it could really just be a sign that you do not fully understand that political issues and themes are woven into most aspects of society, not just voting and not just government. Books, by nature, reflect all of these things. I mean, just think about it. If we look back, some of the most iconic books are known specifically for their political impact. And I feel like a lot of people will know where I'm going to go with this. So I'm just going to say it. Take 1984 by George Orwell. I feel like you guys all knew I was going to say this. It is arguably one of the most politically charged books ever written. And Orwell didn't write it as light entertainment. That was not his agenda. That was not his plan. It was a reflection and a warning about totalitarian regimes. And this is another very famous book that is being used in this conversation today, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. That book spoke about so many issues, and a lot of people are saying this is actually a reflection of what the world is becoming. That is your own opinion, where you stand on that. But we cannot look at these books and then say, books aren't political. It's really not just classics like 1984. The Hunger Games was written not too long ago, and let's not forget books like The Hate You Give and the conversation that brought up, especially around 2020, with everything going on regarding the police in America, and not just in America, but around the world as well. We can turn around and say, oh, it's just old books, but no. Books these days as well touch on a lot of issues about things going on in society. They carry powerful messages and they challenge readers to think critically about society. And that is a really good thing. That is an incredibly good thing. My last video that wasn't about writing was about how BookTok is aiding in the increase in honestly the prevalence of anti-intellectualism. And now we have this and people are screaming books aren't political. Let's really think on it. BookTok has become a powerful platform for amplifying voices. And you've seen it on this channel. It's not just the voices that we are accustomed to, it's voices that are marginalized, diverse voices. And with that, it's created space for conversations around representation, human rights, and so much more. So when we discuss the impact of a book, or even share our interpretations, we're inevitably opening the door for these conversations. And these conversations a lot of times revolve around society, and so of course have a bit to do with politics. Now I know not everyone signed up for that level of depth when they downloaded TikTok, but here we are. Let's be real. Here we are. Because it's not just books. In every little community on TikTok, there's a conversation that leads to something else that has more depth than what we would have initially honestly signed up for on the surface. But that's where we are in this day and age. You can't just look at something and say, well, I just want it to be simple. You can have it simple, but by its nature, is it actually that clean and simple? Now, here's where I am going to say that I'm landing on this. Yes, I see the point of Group A. I see the appeal of just enjoying books for their entertainment value. But I also believe that we can't ignore that books carry a piece of their authors, and their perspectives can bring meaning and relevance to our discussions. So genuinely, to wrap up this conversation, because I'm not trying to drag it on at all, we can see that both sides have points and we can understand where both sides are coming from, okay? Some of us turn to books to escape the world. It's 100% true. A lot of us have a lot going on in our lives and we really just want to open a book and just relax and say goodbye to the chaos of the world, say goodbye to its troubles, and really just have some fun with the book in front of us. But Others want books to help us understand the world better. Yes, some of us escape the world, but others, we want to understand it better. So, from where I'm sitting, let's be real. Books are inherently political. I feel like that's a fact that we just can't pretend isn't true. We can't. Literally, if you are looking at it with logical reasoning, you cannot deny the inherently political nature of books. The way that an author constructs the world or creates characters, those choices reflect their views. It reflects their voices, whether we wanted to or not. And it reflects their voices and their views, whether that's intentional or not. It does. But you see, that's just my take on these things. That's where I land, that we cannot deny the inherent political nature of books. But one thing I will say, and I think this is one thing that would have really helped us avoid this whole chaos, this whole debacle on TikTok, is if honestly people could have respected which side everyone landed on. Because in the recent days on TikTok, I've seen people make statements saying, if this is where you landed, I don't want you to be on my page. Because on my page, these are my views. This is where I stand. And then that led to a lot of people going, book talk shouldn't be political. And I'm so confused at all the crash outs I saw with people going, book talk shouldn't be political, because people were genuinely upset that someone else said, I don't want you following me. I'm so confused because if someone is very much aware that the discourse that takes place on their account is of a certain nature, and your views have shown that it will not align with the discourse, that person is even protecting you by telling you to stop following them because they know that you will not enjoy what you see every time you see content from their page. Why are you upset? Why are you upset? If you do not want book talk to be political and someone says, my page, when I speak about books, I speak about the political nature of these books, so you should unfollow me. Why are you upset? You do not like the political side of book talk. They say that they are on the political side of book talk because books are inherently political and they address that. Some people, when they do their reviews, they don't review it in a political sense. They don't take into account the author's views. They don't take into account the author's history. They just look into the books. They don't even look at some of the deeper messages in the book. That is a story for another day with how people review their books. Some person will look at a book and look at the messages on human rights, on genocide. They can see all that. And then another person will look at the book and be like, this had a strong protagonist and the tropes were enemies to lovers. We all have been on book talk. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have been on book talk, and we have seen that there are different types of reviewers and different types of readers. Okay. Once again, that last video I made about anti-intellectualism has somewhere in here. But if you are a reader and you really just focus on tropes and you don't like to look at the deeper messages of books, and someone on another channel says, I look at the deeper messages of books, and that will include the politics. So if you don't like that, don't follow me. The easiest thing to do would be to stop following them. In that way, you will avoid something you don't like, and they won't have to engage with someone they know will not like their content. And then everyone is happy. Everyone is on the side of book talk that they enjoy. Everyone has people following them that are on the side of book talk that they enjoy, and no one has to beef with anyone. This entire situation, this entire controversy genuinely was baffling to me. It was, because we all know that we all have different opinions on everything. We're humans. We're never going to agree on everything. Come on. Even on the type of books that we read, the genres that we read, we don't agree. Some people read strictly romance. Some people read strictly fantasy. And some people say, I will never go to the other side. That is completely fine. We have our different opinions. But how about you respect everyone's boundaries? You don't want to be there. You don't want to hear that. Don't go over there. Don't hear it. Why are you crying because they told you you're not going to like it over here, so don't come over here? It shows your entitlement, because why do you feel entitled to their opinion in their space? It's really, really silly if you think about it. They told you you won't like it. You know you won't like it, but you're upset that they said, don't come here because you won't like it. Why are you so entitled to the opinions that they're going to share on their space? BookTok is literally a community on the wider app of TikTok, where everyone shares their varying views on everything. And there's space for everyone. Some people have great platforms, so they reach a lot of people. Some people have 2 followers and they don't reach anyone. Somebody on TikTok could be sharing the wildest of opinions that you don't agree with, but you will have no idea who they are because you just haven't reached their page. TikTok hasn't shared their content, but you won't be crying about them because TikTok hasn't shared their content to you. You are not entitled to everyone's space. You're not entitled to anyone's space. The people who have those big platforms is because they have their pages on public and they allow people to be in their space. You do not have to be in their space. You do not have the right to be in their space if they say that you don't have the right to be in their space. It is what it is. Imagine I have an event at my house and it's about fantasy books. And then someone who strictly reads romance books then comes to me and says, your house shouldn't be for fantasy books. Your house should be about only the fluffy romance because I want to enter. Do you see how crazy that sounds? Do you see how crazy that sounds? You're telling me that my house, my space, that I have curated, that I am in charge of. You're telling me what I am allowed to do in my space so that you can have access to something that you have no right to. Do you see how silly that sounds? So you know what? My conclusion is this, and I've said my conclusion is this. I've seen everyone's take. I'm here to tell you guys, and you guys have heard the points that I've made. Books are inherently political, but you do not have to engage with the side of BookTok where they discuss books in a political manner. Okay? You don't have to do it. We can just keep it respectful as always. It don't have to be this dramatic. It really don't. BookTok can be a place for political discussions, and it can really also be a place for just simple discussions. We can keep it a buck and keep it 100 with the people who are on our side with wherever we stand. Let's just keep it a buck, keep it 100. You know where you stand, and so if you don't belong in the other space, don't go there. It's as simple as that. Please, guys, I feel like we're making things more complicated than it should be, and it's really, really dumb. It's really dumb. Like, you're being real stupid. You're being real stupid. You're being real entitled. And you just gotta stop. You just gotta stop. Okay? So after we leave, if you are one of the people who were crying on someone else's channel about what right they have to share their opinions on their page, maybe take a step back and reflect on how dumb that is. Okay? And then just go back to your corner where people agree with you and have fun. Okay? Okay. So that's it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Now, I know some people will watch this video and you guys will also try to crash out on my channel, the channel where I do commentaries, where I let people know what's going on and share both sides and then make an informed opinion on where I stand on my channel. I know that some of you guys are finna do that, okay? Remember what I said at the beginning, okay? I will report, I will remove. I do not care. This is not your space. This is genuinely my channel, and I said what I said, okay? God bless you. Have a great day, and I really hope that after today, we can all start to act like humans with common sense and mutual respect for one another, and respect for the fact that people have a right to their opinions. That sounds good, right? Right. I'll see you guys next time then. Bye.